Hello, this is Reverend Don Lewis coming to you from beautiful Florida. And today our question comes to us from WyldSilverwolf. And WyldSilverwolf has this question. WyldSilverwolf tells us that their wife's cousin has a natural ability to see and interact with spirits, but that this is not a welcome or a happy ability and that the cousin does not enjoy having it. And WyldSilverwolf wonders if there is a way to simply turn this off. WyldSilverwolf goes on to say that the cousin is currently interacting with a less than friendly spirit who is a deceased relative of their parents. And what could they do to not have this interaction with that spirit, to send that spirit away? Now, of course, this is two questions, and I'm going to answer them separately, starting with the second one. When you have this kind of situation where you're interacting with a spirit that is not particularly friendly, generally speaking, it means that it is a spirit that has not crossed over. And because the cousin is clairvoyant, able to see and interact with the spirit, they have a connection to it, so it's kind of natural that they're hanging around. What the cousin needs to do is to help the spirit to cross over, or find someone who knows how to do this to do it for them. And crossing over a spirit really isn't difficult. It's the ability to see and interact with them that's difficult for most people. And what you do is that you basically take the spirit by the hand and lead it to the entryway to the afterlife, which is stereotypically described as the white light, and you convince them that they should go through it. Usually, they're either afraid of what is waiting on the other side, which they don't need to be, it's beautiful over there, or they're tightly connected to something that is happening here and they're afraid to leave it. Whatever their reason is, you talk to them just like you'd talk to anyone else, and you reassure them that it's all right to cross over, and that that doesn't mean that they can have no further interactions with this world. It means that they are going where they need to be at this time so that they can move on, but if their help is needed, it can still be given. And usually, it's not too hard to convince them to cross over. Often they've simply not been able to find the way, or they've been held back by their fears. And usually you can reassure these relatively quickly. Now, sometimes it's not so easy, but this is part of what one would do as a world walker. You help the spirits who have had trouble getting to where they need to get to where they need to be. And having done that, your cousin should have no further problem with the spirit, though they may have further communication with it, but it should not be of a negative nature. Now, I also will say that although WyldSilverwolf describes the spirit as less than friendly, that might or might not actually be true. I don't have any details to go by, and sometimes people allow their fear of a spirit to make it seem negative when it's not. But either way, this is the thing that you should try doing, and generally speaking, it's what will be needed. There is, however, a second case, and that could also be what's going on here. Again, it's perfectly natural that this spirit, seeing that the cousin can see and hear it, would be trying to talk to them. And if there's some kind of unresolved business in the family, perhaps even involving the cousin, it may be that the spirit is trying to tell them that, but having difficulty getting the message through. So the other thing the cousin should do, if crossing the spirit over does not resolve the issue, is really simply ask it what it wants and work with it to bring that out. But first I would cross it over and make sure that gets done. So those would be my answers in terms of what to do with the spirit. Now, can you simply shut this off? Well, yes, people can do that. I've known people who did do that, but I don't recommend it. If you have this, it's because you've built it up in previous lifetimes, and it's a lot of energy that is moving through you. And you don't really just want to block it off, because what you're going to end up with is a gigantic energy blockage. Rather, what I would recommend is to learn to control it, so that you can open and close it at will. And how do you do that? Well, what I would recommend is a systemic series of exercises to gain control over your psychic abilities. Now, the cousin has natural psychic abilities, which, as I say, have been pulled in from a past life, but they don't have control over them. So I would recommend starting study from scratch to learn how to do that. And I would recommend my own book, as probably the best series of exercises that I know of to teach you how to do that. And if you follow those exercises, including the grounding and releasing and shielding exercises, as well as the various other exercises in the series, by the time you're done, I think you should be able to open and close that ability when you want to, so that you can see when you need to, but you won't be disturbed when you don't desire to be. Now, of course, there are exceptions to this, but for the most part, it works very well. And that would be my recommendation. So, those are my answers. I hope you find them helpful. And until next time, may your blessed be. The chalice represents the Correllian virtue of generosity, openness of spirit, allowing movement and growth around you and also within you.